Town Hall is reporting Hunter Biden emails that reveal the big guy received up to 50% of some overseas business transactions made by Hunter, more specifically from deals in China. The big guy is purported to be President Joe Biden. A reporter pressed Jen Psaki yesterday over the business dealings. Let's take a listen.
In 2017 and 2018, the president routed $13 million of income through S corporations. There are some ethics experts who are calling on him to divulge the specific sources of income in those revenue streams. Richard Painter, who ran for the Senate as a Democrat, has been among those who are calling for this. Will President Biden be releasing the sources of income that were in that $13 million, particularly as there's attention being paid to his son and whether he earned any money from his businesses?
Well, again, the president doesn't have dealings with his family members about business, and he has released decades of tax returns, which is more than I can say for his predecessor.
GOP Congressman James Comer said that Hunter is a, quote, national security risk, and added it will be a top priority to find out if the president was involved in Hunter's business deals if Republicans take back the House.
Last week, Senator Ted Cruz pressed Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg over the merits of Hunter's laptop.
So was the Hunter Biden laptop misinformation?
I'm not familiar with all of the details of those stories. What I know is that Russia, notably, and other players too.
Except it wasn't Russia. It's an accurate laptop. Now the New York Times has acknowledged that after the election. And yet the head of this disinformation board happily pushed out that it was disinformation. That is a code word for things that are politically inconvenient.
Wow, Buttigieg just gave Ted Cruz all the rope to hang him there. Why would he say, well, Russia? Like, why would he? It really does make you worry about the disinformation board type person.
Yes, it really reveals the extent to which I think that these liberals are still living in a bubble, not aware at all of the information that should be right under their nose. And moreover, they've really set themselves up after spending 4 years, I think rightfully trying to pin Trump to any number of instances of corruption. Failing to do so, they've set a standard that this kind of corruption and this kind of behavior is inappropriate. Now, instead of just being honest about this and nipping it in the bud, they think that they can butt Trump their way out of it. And I just don't see it landing. What do you think, Kim?
Well, one thing to really point out is that Donald Trump, even though, we looked through all of his stuff and wondered if there was corruption and tried to find it, he had been a businessman for decades, right? So there were going to be some deals and whatnot that maybe, you could kind of look and say, well, does that are you now qualified to be a politician if you have these deals in these foreign countries and whatnot? Joe Biden has been a politician his entire career. So how does he get, $13 million routed to his bank accounts? How do you make that kind of money as a politician without there being some sort of corruption? That would be, look, Donald Trump could make millions, even billions of dollars as a businessman. A politician should never be making millions upon millions of dollars. Furthermore, all of this was found in what years was it? 2017 and 2018. So Joe Biden at that time knew, everybody knew, they were trying to get Donald Trump's tax returns since he was running for election. That was a big hot topic. So if you're going to be making money, and if you're going to be making money in a way that maybe is going to be shady, you're probably going to figure out how to hide it, especially when everybody's talking about the current president not showing his tax returns. You're going to know, I'm going to show my tax returns. And when I do, I'm going to make sure that it doesn't look like there's anything there. But he still won't disclose how he made all of that money. But I would sure like to know how a career politician is a millionaire like this.
I wonder if Hunter thought, it's hilarious if so, he thought he was being clever, referring to, if that is who he's referring to his dad as the big guy, rather than like, oh, they're never going to catch on to this.
They need more lawyers in the family to tell them a little story about Docker View. Look, in the idea that a father, there's no business dealings between family, Jen Psaki stating that as though that's like a matter of fact, like, how dare you think a father and a son had business dealings? I mean, every plumber's business in America is somebody's father and son co. It really speaks to the fact that they have not thought through this at all. It feels like Democrats think that they are immune from these kind of charges as a matter of course. And to your point, Robby, this coming up in a 2017-2018 cycle, but never being pressed in the course of a very densely populated Democratic primary, I think is the kind of political negligence. This is exactly what happened with Hillary Clinton. When someone is coordinated, when there is a coalescing behind one person, when there is a suppression of stories that are germane to the public interest that are going to come back and bite you in the bottom, 2 to 4 years later, it ultimately hurts the party, but they don't seem to really ever learn that lesson.
Yeah, it's it's a mess. And so I think, what do you think about this, Kim? I would expect if Republicans take back control of Congress, as they're widely expected to, do you think we're going to see serious investigations here?
Yeah, I think we should. It's extremely suspicious. As I mentioned, a career politician to make this kind of money, for his son to be his son, who is not, like the pillar of all that is moral and good, I suppose, and making the best decisions in life, for him to also be making this kind of money. Clearly, obviously, there's corruption there. That is so obvious. Like I said, with Donald Trump, maybe not as obvious because he's a businessman. So, they can make a lot of money doing a lot of different deals. But a politician and a politician's son who's been on drugs, and this is, yes, they need to investigate it, but I would like to see a lot more investigations like this. I would like to see an Operation Car Wash that happened in Brazil happening here in the United States. I think we need to be rooting out corruption in our political system. Our politicians are running off rich. We need to be asking some questions as the American people.
Yeah, well, importantly, if something like that is done, it should be done in a, nonpartisan, across the board way. Part of the issues of what happened in Brazil was that it was used as a political weapon to take down people's political opponents in bad faith, because you can always find something on somebody, unfortunately, in our political systems. But certainly the fact that people like Nancy Pelosi have been in office for 30 years and have, tens of millions of dollars, and not just her, obviously, if you look down the line, sometimes I like to get story ideas by just going to Open Secrets or Googling net worth of various politicians and just taking a gander. You could write a whole book every single day.
Well, and how many of them, their first phone call after they get information like, the pandemic's going to be really bad, the public's about to find out, or anything else, their first phone call is to their stockbroker or their brother to coordinate who handles it or whatever. Right. We've caught a number of them doing that, and presumably there's a bunch more doing it. We just haven't caught them yet. They were slightly more careful about it.
Yeah.
And to your point, Bri, I do agree. It will be it's politically motivated. I think if Republicans take Congress, they absolutely are doing it under political motivation, similar to Operation Car Wash. But I think then on the flip side, Democrats will do it to Republicans, and maybe we'll actually get both sides cleaning house. Right, and
maybe
exposing.
Maybe one could hope. I hate to be that person, but if there was someone who were genuinely outside of the political system, someone who hadn't spent years as a senator from MBNA, the senator from Delaware in the banking industry, who was so corrupt, someone who maybe was an independent senator from Vermont and had largely worked outside of the system, not taking corporate money for decades and decades of their career, I would have more confidence in that kind of an operation happening under them. But given the folks that we have, when everybody's hands are dirty, I think it's really hard to clean house.
Right. And there's corruption is a huge problem, but there's some people who are swept to power on an anti-corruption mandate, are often corrupt themselves, or then you said, Kim, are using the process to go after people they dislike, and ignoring corruption from their own faction or whatever. So it's
I don't know. If a criminal turns in a criminal, I don't care. I just want the criminal. I don't care how. I don't care how they're exposed.
No, expose them all. Absolutely. Well, not you, Hunter Biden. A little humor there. All right, well, stick around. We'll have more Rising after this.